Your dream and what success looks like to you isn't hiding. It's just been buried under the noise, the conditioning, and all the I shoulds. But it's still there, waiting for you to come back to it. Your voice, your energy, and your vision matter. Hello and welcome to Rebel to Rise, where business meets human design. I'm Erin Hines, your darn good business coach, here to help you break the rules, trust your instincts, and own your brilliance unapologetically. In this space, we blend the power of human design with real-world business strategy so you can ditch the shoulds, embrace your true self, and create a life and career that lights you up every single day. Ready to rebel, rise, and redefine success on your terms? Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to Rebel to Rise, where business meets human design, and where we ditch the rules to lead with confidence and build businesses that actually feel good to lead. And with that said, I want to know, are you building the business or career you actually want? Or just the one you think you're supposed to? Because I've been there. You follow the experts, take the courses, hire the right people, write the copy that should convert, create the offer or products that make sense, and suddenly you wake up realizing you're leading a business that doesn't even feel like yours. Today, I'm talking to the leader who's lost touch with why they started all of this in the first place. You're tired of playing by someone else's rule book, and you're craving something real, something that feels good. And maybe, just maybe, you're finally ready to admit you don't actually want what you thought you did. I'm going to talk about the sneaky ways we build from shoulds, how conditioning messes with our vision, and how to reconnect to the business you actually want to lead. Because, spoiler alert, confidence doesn't come from proving yourself. It comes from being yourself. And the more you trust who you are, the less you'll be second guessing every damn move you try to take. Something I've seen again and again, and not just in my clients, but in myself too, is that so many of us start out with a dream. We want freedom, impact, joy. We want to help people. We want to feel lit up by the things we're creating. But somewhere along the way, we start building from someone else's blueprint. Because that's what we're taught, right? Follow the formulas, use the right words, hit the right income goal, do what's proven to work. And don't get me wrong, strategy matters. But when the strategy gets louder than your own voice, when you start filtering every decision through, what would so-and-so do? You lose your vision. You forget why you started. You end up building a business or a career that might look successful on paper, but feels so off in your body. And when that happens, things start to break down. You start questioning your offers, even when they work. You sabotage momentum because it doesn't feel aligned. You cram yourself into a box just to be marketable. And maybe you feel stuck even though from the outside, things look fine. It's not because you're not smart or talented or capable. It's because you're building based on shoulds instead of what you actually want, what you're actually good at. And that's just not exhausting. It's unsustainable. Because you can't build a business you love by being someone you're not. Let me give you an example from my own business. For the longest time, I thought I had to play the game to be successful. And I think many of you know the game I'm talking about. Post 3 times a day. Hop on every trend. Pump out reels, stories, carousels, and repeat all of that again, day after day. And for a while, I tried doing all that. I followed the advice, I checked all the boxes, but if I'm being really honest, it drained the hell out of me. So deeply, energetically, it drained me. And it wasn't because I didn't want to show up and serve. I had a message to spread, but it was because the way I was doing it wasn't me. It felt like I was chasing attention just to stay visible, working so hard for a few hours, and hopefully I would get some engagement before it all disappeared into the scroll void. And I remember thinking, is this really what building a business is supposed to feel like? Because it sure as hell did not feel good. It felt performative, and I knew something had to change. That's when I realized I don't want to build a business that requires me to perform 24/7 to be seen. I want to build for longevity. I want to create content that lasts, like SEO rich blogs, podcast episodes, and I want to be found months later from the content I'm producing. It takes so much energy and effort to put things out into the world. I want it to be seen and found. I want people to hear it because I believe in my message so much. I want my words to matter, not just disappear after 24 hours. I want to be searchable, discoverable, and useful, and not disposable. And yes, it took so much self-trust, doing things differently, but it gave me my energy back. I started to trust that I knew what was best for me in going after it, speaking up for myself and saying no. That allowed me to get my creativity back, my voice back. When I create content now, it's not trying to pump out as much as I can. It's sitting here thinking, what do I want to say today? What does my audience want to hear from me? What do I think will change their lives? And honestly, there's something pretty badass about rebelling against the rules and proving to yourself that your way does work. It was terrifying to jump off the social media bandwagon, but day by day, I saw results doing it my way, what felt good to me, and nothing feels better than following what your soul is telling you to do, what you're meant to do, and doing it. Because here's the thing most people don't realize. When you're disconnected from what you really want, what you desire, it's not because you don't have a vision. It's because you've picked up on everyone else's version of their vision and think it's yours. What your coach said you should want. What your industry glorifies. What your family, friends, or even society expects from someone who's successful. You start collecting shoulds without even noticing. And before you know it, your vision board is full of things that don't belong to you. And here's the kicker. The more you try to make someone else's version work for you, the more resistance you'll feel because your energy knows the difference. You'll start procrastinating, second guessing, overcomplicating simple tasks, burning yourself out trying to force alignment where there isn't any. And suddenly, your business becomes something you're trying to escape from, rather than something you're excited to expand. This is why so many brilliant, capable leaders start to question themselves. They think something's wrong with them. But it's not that you're broken or need to be fixed. It's that you've been building based on conditioning and not your desire. The power within you comes from your desire. The more magical, confident, impactful you become when you follow your desires. So now you might be wondering, how do you actually clear the noise and reconnect to the business or career you actually want? And it starts with getting radically honest. Not with what you think you should want. Not with what sounds impressive on Instagram. But with what actually lights you up. What literally turns you on. This is where self-leadership begins. Not with strategy, but with a vision that feels like yours. So here are a few journal prompts to help you reconnect. I'll also leave these in the notes for you to reference later. So I want you to ask yourself, if no one else's opinion mattered, what kind of business would you lead? What would it look like, feel like, operate like? Question 2. Where am I building based on shoulds instead of desire? Look at your offers, your marketing, your schedule, your goals. What's genuinely exciting you? Number 3, what am I craving more in my day-to-day work? Is it spaciousness, creativity, connection, simplicity, or whatever else you might imagine for yourself? Question 4, where do you feel the most resistance now? Resistance often reveals misalignment, not lack of discipline. And number 5, what version of success feels right for you? If 7 figures or scaling fast aren't a real dream, then what is? You don't need to have every detail figured out. You just need to be honest enough to admit what you actually want. And that is real rebellion. Because once you see what's yours, what you desire, versus what's been picked up from conditioning, you could stop wasting energy on trying to force a life or a business that will never work for you. And you could start devoting yourself to what actually fits your dream life. The more that you're following your desires, it means the more that you're following what you're here on this planet to do. The more you follow your desires, the more turned on and excited you'll be. And that means the bigger impact, the more people you could help, and the more confident and powerful you will feel every single day. If you were able to wake up and just know you are fulfilling your desires every single day, how excited to jump out of bed would you be? Just imagine how fulfilling you would feel every day. That is the kind of leadership I want you to move from. So now that you've reflected on what you really want, let's talk about how to start reimagining your business or career so it reflects that. To make this more tangible, I want to introduce you to my client, Andy. Andy came to me saying, I've built the perfect business on paper, but I can't stand showing up to it every day. She loved her clients, and the work that she was doing made her so excited. But the structure of her business, the back end, the constant content treadmill, the admin overwhelm had just led her to dread Monday mornings. When you're doing work you love, but still feel like you're running away from your business, that's a sign something deeper is off. So here are the 3 shifts I help her make, and that you can make too, that will help you rebuild from alignment and not obligation. The first shift. Get clear on what's yours and what isn't. Most people start with strategy, but clarity comes first. I cannot stress this enough. This is the first step. When you work with me, we are working on clarity first. Because you can't build a business that excites you if it's based on someone else's desires. The more you're clear on what you want, how you want your life to look, the more we could build something sustainable that will not drain you every day. And this is where my work with human design comes in. And for Andy, we started by unpacking what she actually wanted. She realized she didn't want to scale a big team. She wanted a simple, low-maintenance business that allowed deep client relationships without constant tech and logistics. When she saw that the business model she was currently following wasn't aligned with her values, she finally gave herself permission to let it go. And that clarity changed everything. The second shift I use with my clients is to rework your structure to match your energy. Once Andy saw the mismatch, we started shifting her offers, her schedule, and her systems. She simplified her services. She cut out the busy work, and we redesigned her delivery so she could focus more on the connection and client transformation, which was the part of her work she loved the most. And that allowed her to focus less on the stuff that drained her. This looked like moving from custom proposals to a clear signature process. We worked on ditching weekly calls in favor of monthly deep dives, and we streamlined the back end so she wasn't constantly putting out fires. She went from scattered and resentful to seeing that there was an easier way she could run her business. And it led her to feel re-inspired to keep going at the work she loved. And the third shift we worked on together was to learn to trust that less can be more. This by far is the hardest part for high achievers, because we're taught that success equals doing more, proving more, being more. And so for Andy's biggest shift, it was realizing that ease didn't mean she was doing it wrong. It meant she was finally doing it right. She made the commitment to do business her way, even if that wasn't what she was taught. She stopped second guessing her every decision. She stopped chasing the next best thing, and she leaned fully into her zone of genius. And the result was more clients, more referrals, and more peace, because she knew her business could run without her being on 24/7. And the best part is when she started waking up excited again. Because when you trust yourself, people feel it. And when you build from what excites you, not conditioning, you stop being your own bottleneck. So here's what I want you to remember. You're not too much. You're not broken. You're building from a blueprint that was never really yours. And the moment you start honoring what actually lights you up, you stop chasing alignment and start creating it. You are in the driver's seat. Your dream business and what success looks like to you isn't hiding. It's just been buried under the noise, the conditioning, and all the damn I shoulds. But it's still there, waiting for you to come back to it. So whether you're a CEO, a business owner, or a leader inside someone else's company, your voice, your energy, and your vision matter. Let this be your reminder that you don't need anyone's permission to work differently. You get to define success on your terms. You get to create a life and business that turns you on. You get to desire whatever you want and actually go after it. Because when you lead from your desires, that's when everything starts to click. If this episode lit something up in you, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment, leave a review, or DM me your biggest takeaway. Or share this with a friend who really needs a reminder that their desires are valid. And if you're craving support to realign your business to match your energy, I have a few ways to work together, so check the notes below for how I could support you reach your deepest desires. We'll talk soon. Keep rebelling, keep rising. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Rebel to Rise, where business meets human design. I hope you feel inspired to break free from those shoulds in your life and trust your inner compass as you create a life and business that truly lights you up. Remember, every day is a chance to rebel against the ordinary and rise into your authentic power. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow rebel who's ready to lead their lives unapologetically. Until next time, keep trusting your intuition, keep breaking the rules, and most importantly, keep rising.